Welcome to Bits of Grit, highlighting key takeaways from Blue Grit Radio. This is Eric Tung. I'm an active police commander up in Washington State. In this episode, I talked to retired RCMP Sergeant Major Seb Lavoie and Corporal Mark Bouchard, who is active RCMP. We talked about how to improve agency culture, specifically what individuals need to do to contribute towards this. I recognize it can be daunting to think about how to affect an agency as a whole, but really what I want to share is what individuals can do. And this can be daunting at any stage of the game. I'm in mid-management now, and it still feels daunting. So again, let's focus on what you, the listener, individually can do. And that's the challenge, right? Just focus on you and your day-to-day, your week-to-week from your position. If you're skeptical and you think that you are limited, think about it this way. Flip the script. Think about some of the most impactful people that you've interacted with in your police career that exuded positive energy, were extremely constructive and engaged, and recognize how much they made a difference for their team or how that even permeated a lot of areas of the department. And you'll probably think about trainers, you'll think about line level leaders, officers or detectives, maybe that sergeant that was so impactful for you in your career coming up. Everyone has a seat at the table, and it takes all hands on deck. So when we think about that allegory, right, the ship, everyone's doing their part. If everyone's doing their part, the ship is operating, maneuvering, and performing beautifully. So I want to highlight 3 key items for every officer, regardless of rank. First off, how are you contributing to what your agency needs? And this can be a personal philosophy thing. This could be, how do you want to impact culture? Because as soon as you identify that, you can identify what you're doing for that. If it's positive energy and culture, how are you bringing that? How are you bringing that into the squad room? How are you bringing that onto calls, in the break room, in your little interactions in the hallway? Are you elevating that positive energy, or are you falling victim to the corrosive toxicity that we know is very much a thing in police culture? We got to be intentional about keeping that at bay. How are you contributing towards that? Wellness, as I fervently believe, is integral to healthy police culture. So how are you taking care of your personal wellness? So that's fitness, that's mindset, that's emotional health, relationships in and out of work. And then recognize that by doing so, you are influencing and affecting everyone around you positively. So line officer, that might be people in your work group. That'd be people that you're going to calls with, people you overlap shifts with. It should be your boss, right? Lead up. Let's lead up by example, because actions speak louder, right? The next item I want you to think about is supporting your people. I love the concept of leadership at all ranks. It is not my novel concept. Reminding yourself that we are all leaders. Regardless of your rank, think about your role. And we all have a certain amount of responsibility, officially or unofficially. And we can take on more officially or unofficially. But let me give you an example. So when you have a specific role in the puzzle known as agency culture, think about how you can be removing stress and contributing positive energy to other people. So there is the classic metaphor for stress, and think about everyone's stress bucket, right? So the bucket is filling up with stress, aka water or liquid. And as Seb Lavoie put in our interview, the leader's role is to drill holes in that bucket and continue to drill holes in that bucket at a faster rate than it's filling up, right? That's effective leadership. But you can do that at any level. So the line officer, just being positive is removing some of that stress, right? You're checking in with them can reduce that stress. Being a valuable member of the team, operationally sound, being well trained, dialed in, that's going to reduce stress for your peers. As your official leadership rank increases, you have an obligation and a responsibility to actively look for ways to reduce stress for your people, right? So keep drilling those holes, because we all know, we've all seen from a distance or seen up close, those bosses that seem to be pouring more water into the bucket, and some people are taping over those holes that other people are drilling. So let's not be that. The third piece I want you to focus on is control your controllables. We can talk about taking ownership. Sometimes those hard chargers, those doer types that you may be taking on too much. We need to check ourselves. We all have limited bandwidth, and we have our own limitations, whether it's skills, abilities, span of control. So we got to be healthy and humble about that. For your corporals and sergeants out there, it's your direct assigns, your direct reports, and maybe the peers that you see day to day. But it is irresponsible and probably a bit egotistical if we all think that we can save our department or we can be the one lone wolf that's going to really elevate things. No, you need the team. Ultimately, agency culture is critical. It's so abstract and large when we think about it as the whole. Think about individualizing it. And so if we all do our part, you're going to have a cohesive, healthy, optimized agency culture as an outcome. For the full discussion, tune into Blue Grit Radio. Check out the podcast on all your major players. That's episode 68 on improving agency culture. Be well and stay gritty.